Hi everyone, and thanks for being with me. One of the questions that I've been asking of myself lately and feeling a little confused over, to say the least, is what will happen if Trump wins? And we need to wonder about what that would look like. But what I've been concerned about, or not concerned so much as interested in, is how will the right respond if Trump implements some of his programs? Now, at this particular point, they seem to be content with going along with the notion that Trump doesn't necessarily mean the things that he says, that they'll find ways to make excuses for bizarre comments about Arnold Palmer's genitalia, whatever, his ramblings, his 38 minutes of dancing and whatever you want to call that moment where he just didn't know what to say, so he just played music. So there's all these bizarre things that happen around Trump. But when he, or if, not when, if, I don't want to focus on when, but if he wins, what does that mean in terms of the implementation of his program, the likes of the extreme right, and how they're going to implement a program which will be about eradicating and diminishing people's freedoms. Now, one example is that, let's say that he decides to gather all illegal immigrants, those people who have filed for asylum, who haven't necessarily gained asylum in the United States, and even those people who have got legal rights to be in the US and have legal rights to work. Those people, simply because of the colour of their skin, are likely to be rounded up by Trump, placed into camps and deported. Now, the issue for me is that, well, how do you round up 11 million people? What camps do you put them in? And how do you go about deciding who leaves legally? So, what challenges will there be in the courts once he starts implementing that particular type of program? And whether the media will go along with it as well is my key issue. And at what point would the right-wing media say even enough is enough around that? And then, of course, where do you deport people if they've got nowhere to go? One of the problems we've had here in Australia in regard to our asylum seekers is that there are countries who just will not take them back. So where do you send people? Do you do what Britain tried to do in relation to Rwanda? Do you find an island somewhere in the Pacific, perhaps, where you can just dump this 11 million people turned into another Gaza? Who knows what the answer is in relation to all of that? But at what point, my question is, at what point will the media decide that the behaviour of Trump and his administration are inhumane? And, when do we get to the point whereby trade, for example, has become such an issue because he has so many tariffs and so many goods coming into the US that people realise at the end of the day they're paying heaps for these tariffs, and it starts a trade war, and places like China say, bugger you, we're going to do our own thing and we're going to start exporting really cheaply to Europe, and we're going to cut you out of the market. And that as a result, that is, the United States, might head into a recession if he kicks off a trade war with someone like China. And what are we going to do, or what is the right wing going to do if he starts to target those people who object to his principles, his policies, and his behaviour generally? The revenge that Trump is likely to take could be extreme. So is it possible that he will target places like MSNBC and CNN and ABC and other networks because they oppose him? Will he seek to take away their licenses? Will Trump seek to incarcerate his enemies? Now, I don't know how he could possibly do that given the legal system in the US, but let's say he found a way to avoid all of that, to circumvent that. What would the right-wing media do if they noticed that people like themselves, journalists and others, were being incarcerated for simply objecting to the things that Trump had been talking about. Where will the right wing be? Where will the right wing media be if they noticed that Trump was infringing upon other people's rights? What would they do? How would they possibly be able to justify this particular man, his behaviour, and the things that potentially he will do in order to make sure that he will stay in power for as long as possible? And to what extent will the Republican Party side with Trump? At what point will the Republican Party say enough is enough? Trump is going to be around forever, but Trumpism may be. So how can we use Trumpism in order to ensure that we have the hold on power that we need to remain in power? Now, there's some more questions here that, well, I don't know the answer to any of this stuff, but I am posing the question here is, at what point do people in the media who support Trump say enough is enough and that all of this must at some point come to an end? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I would be most interested to find out whether some of you sort of think, well, there is an issue here in relation to going too far and him implementing some of these outlandish policies that he has in mind. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I will respond accordingly. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, be safe.